Well, hello there, YouTube. It's Monday, August 28th, 2023. And today I've got a packed video for you. As a matter of fact, I've been working on this all weekend long, doing video editing and everything else. As you can see from the timeline here, I'm gonna renew the sealing ring for the control piston. I'm gonna install that control piston. I'll be installing the fuel distributor, of course, and installing the fuel pressure regulator, the EHA valve, as well as all those injection lines. Another reason why this video is important to me is because over the weekend I got 750 subscribers. So that was a big achievement. You know, I'm getting really close to my goal of 1,000. Wouldn't that be awesome if when we start this car, I have 1,000 subscribers and everyone join us all at the same time? That's right. If you're not yet a subscriber, you should be a subscriber because we're getting really close to starting this car. I spent a lot of time on this video. You know, I do everything with these really inexpensive $60 cameras I bought on eBay. I record everything just once. In other words, all my cameras go to one feed and record it at one time. I don't get second chances. It's only one feed, not 4 feeds that I go later edit and figure out how to put it together. No, it's all real time. That's the name, TonyLiveTV. So I do this all live. So I hope you guys enjoy this video and I'll catch you guys on the next one. These are all the tools and products that I'm going to be using for this job. You're going to need a screwdriver, a 5mm hex, a 17mm open end, and you're going to need a 12mm flare nut wrench. And then this little tool right here is just something I came up with to help me put my O-ring on the bottom of that fuel distributor. I will be renewing the sealing ring for the control piston, and for that I'll be using a little bit of 3-in-1 oil and then this special tool right over here. This will help me grab a hold of the nut and turn it where I need to turn the nut. This is the fuel distributor. You're going to need, regardless, you should change that O-ring. Why not change the filter while you're at it? So there's your filter. Then you're also going to need a seal ring for that, because it doesn't come with one. You may or may not have removed your EHA. I did, and there's the O-rings for that. And unfortunately in my case, this piston here was stuck. I did a previous video, as you know. Because it was stuck, there's my spring, and there's my nut on the top, and there's the piston. And there's the O-ring that goes on to that nut. First, I need to take this out of the bag. Remove it from the bag, and I've just plugged that hole because I don't want anything falling into that as we work on the rest of it. So I need to take that spring, put that inside, and then this cap on top. But that cap has a O-ring on it. So that's the old O-ring that I need to remove. And when you look at that, you can tell it's shot. This is what it looks like after I removed it. You can see there's little ridges around that outside edge. That's a comparison between the new one and the old one. You can see the shape, it's really distorted. There's another comparison. So that's how it came out, exactly like that. You see that little bigger part towards the back? And I actually verified that. So I've installed that. You can see it's a little bit wet. And the reason is I have 3-in-1 oil on there. It's a very clean, thin oil. And so I'm using that to lubricate the O-ring on that. And I've done the same thing with this little spring and the piston. Lightly, you'll see. There really is nothing different about this spring. Any way you want to put it in, go ahead and drop that in there. Next, I'm going to grab my piston. It's all been cleaned with brake clean and everything before I got started. And we'll just drop it in there. Just be nice and easy with it. Ooh, I can feel pressure inside there. And next is our nut. So the spring's in, the piston's in, and now the top nut. According to the instructions, you know, we've already measured it ahead of time. It's 0.43. That's what mine is. Yours might be different. You have to measure it ahead of time, and then you should scribe it on your body of the distributor. And then now we just need to get this aligned with the original one. There's the original, and here I am. So here's an overlay. And what I've got to do is I've got to get my ring down below the surface of this by 0.43. I'm just going to use this here just to make it easier for me. So I can tell I'm still not there yet. Somewhere around there maybe. Let's throw up some laser markers. I'm close. Definitely close. So let's measure this. So I've zeroed out my calipers. I'm going to extend it out and then take a reading. You won't believe it. 0.43. So if we want to compare it with our first image, that's what we started with, and that's what we ended up with. Before I set this aside, I want to say that these results are repeatable. It just happened the very first time I dropped it in there and I cut the video. And I came over here and I tried it 3 more times, and each time 0.43. Our laser lines right up, and the control nut is in the exact same position it was when I took it out of the vehicle. If you have a bench vise, that's what I have, that's safe for clamping on, this is really a good time to change this filter. And there's everything you're going to need to do that. So I've accomplished the renewing sealing ring for the control piston. I don't recommend you leave it in this direction. Take something like that and store it this way. That way there, your piston isn't resting on that spring. Don't store it how it's not stored on the vehicle itself. Store it this way. The next step is installing the fuel distributor. And I'm looking at item number 24 there, and that is a rubber seal. Genuine Mercedes. And that O-ring goes right in here. And the instructions are pretty specific. Rubber seal 24, renew, fit, dry. That means we're not going to put Vaseline on it. We're not going to put 3-in-1 oil on it. Nothing. Completely dry. So we're fresh out of the bag. Once I get to that point there, I'm going to use a little tool to help me. Because I don't want to just roll this thing in. I would like to just place it in. So let's see how that works. Just like that. We'll check to make sure there's no twists. I've verified it all the way around that it is the same. There's no twist to it anywhere. Let's set this aside. These are the injector lines for 1 through 4. And here are the fuel lines for 5 through 8. And this is the fuel line that goes to the cold start valve. The reason for the 5mm is for this right here. That's your fuel pressure regulator. And what I suggest is that you loosen this if you haven't already, pull it away and out of the way like this. I suggest that you do that just so you don't have any interference dropping your distributor down. So that's out of the way. Now I can concentrate on just cleaning this area up. I'm going to go ahead and wipe this down with lacquer thinner and make sure that this surface is all clean. I might have said lacquer thinner, but I meant mineral spirits. That's the only thing that I use on fuel related things. Before I put this on, I thought I would show you guys how this works. Do you see that? That's how yours needs to work. Let's bring that over to the engine. The instructions are pretty clear. Renew, fit, dry. The only next part is orientation. So this is the proper orientation. You see these 2 bolts, actually there's 3, but these 2, I would suggest you try to line them up first, like that. So I'm just backing them up a little bit and then making sure they're finding the hole. I personally don't like the whole idea of putting on O-rings that are dry, but I'm going to follow the instructions. Do you see how I'm holding it? And I'm just going to bring these down to where I just feel it touching. I know that everything's lined up. I have no tension on here yet. You can see I'm just slowly doing it with my fingers, just like I showed you, just like that. And I'm trying to do equal pressure all the way around, like that. Okay, if you guys appreciate these detailed videos, make sure you subscribe to this channel. So I'm just going to continue doing the same thing until it's all the way down. See how I'm doing it? A little here, a little there. Make sure we're coming down nice and flat. Beautiful. I think we're almost there. That's it. So I'm going to give it a little bit of a snug here. You don't need to get crazy on this, you guys. You know, the sealing is all about that little ring right there. Don't over tighten it. No sense in doing crazy stuff. So now we're all free. We can continue. I believe the next logical step is to attach this fuel pressure regulator. So I'm going to take my paper off of here. Peel that off there. Let's take this one off too. And line this up and that one up. But I want to get this one in first. Like that. Then I'll bring this one over there and see about getting that one started. The manual says that the injection lines are 10 to 15 Newton meters. So that's just like a reference value, right? So this is where a flare nut wrench comes in handy. This is 12 millimeter right here. 10 to 15, I mean, it doesn't take much. And then I have the same 17 millimeter for this side. You may want to go ahead and hold that one just to be safe. Snug that up, I think we're good. So this is installed now. All we got to do is push this down. That's that clamp. Push that down and we'll tighten this final bolt here. There are no specifications for torquing or anything like that. Snug it up. That's all you need to do. There we are. Next, I think, is the EHA. Then I'll wipe these areas with mineral spirits. Next are the two O-rings. I'm going to install these dry. You can feel it seat. Now I'll get this other one here. Do the same thing. Next I'll install the EHA valve. What I do is I put my thumb over this one to find that hole. Then take my screwdriver on this side and find this hole and then bring this one in a little bit first. That way there we've got something to hold on to. I have no pressure at all yet. You can see it's still loose. Just like with everything, I just slowly bring it there, right? I feel like I'm about there right now. There it is. Again, you don't have to crank it. You've got seals behind there. Brand new seals. It should seal just fine. Notice the orientation. Bosch sticking out here. Your plug-in is right here, facing the back. Before I forget, I have to do what I always do to be safe, because I could miss something. The next logical step is to start probably with the 8 injector and work our way up. I would say that you kind of want to snug this one up before you do anything with the rest of this. And then kind of bring this down to where, you know, shit starts to grab. And I'll show you why there's a reason I'm suggesting you do it this way. So if you look down here, you can see that that doesn't really line up, right? But now that I know that the top nut is secure, obviously I can move it where I need to move it, but it's where it needs to be to seat, because Chances are the reason why this is not lining up is because it was pulled up, or, you know, I can tell you I did that. That's my fault. It's the way that I did it. But now that I know that that's okay, I can just bring this down to it. I know that I'm safe and everything's tight up above. Bring this down and let it come into where it needs to be. Notice how I have it marked 8. So, according to the instructions, this and this is between 10 and 15 Newton meters. Reference. So I'll start with this one here. And you have to get a feel, you know, you say, okay, that's about, you know, 10, 12, right about there. That's about right. That feels good to me. That's where I'm stopping. Because this flare nut wrench is bent like that, it allows you to put this on here and get a hold of your nut and clear your valve cover. I like to hold the back of this like this because I don't want to twist it. Don't want to twist anything, guys. There you go, it's nice and tight. Got to do that 7 more times. Now when you're ready to put in number 7, don't start there yet. Come down here first and feed this up underneath that. See how I'm underneath this pipe? Then bring it up on the top, just like that. I'm going to remove this. So now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just tighten this one here first. There we go, still loose, but where it belongs. There we go. Nice and easy. That's it. Eight and number 7 are now tight, top and injector side. So the next thing to do is to put on this little clamp here. There's a clamp that goes there. This is what it looks like. Unfortunately, it's broken. Mercedes has this one with 3. And I made a new one from this 3. I made this one to match this. And I think it came out really good. It looks identical pretty much. Let's install it where it belongs. Just kind of get a feel to see, you know, where it would kind of line up, I would say. And then snap in the one side, just like that. And then find where the other one would go, and then snap it in. Now I'll install the number 6. Put the top one in first. Take note that this goes over the top of this rubber hose. Now I'll put this in my cup like that. I'll first tighten this down. This ain't gonna fit. Just a 12 millimeter open end wrench. The flare nut doesn't fit in here very easily. That feels about right. See how that was routed over the top. The number 5 is a little bit tricky. So you see how this is going here, right along here, but then right here it has to go under this, just like that. And then just like the others, I will hand tighten this one. I'm going to go ahead and take this off before I get that tight. By the way, I cleaned the heck out of this, you guys. It shows dirty in two of the last 2 videos. All right, so that's snug, feels good. There we go, nice and tight. Next would be the cold start valve. This here to this here. Again, I'll start up here. I like to back it up a little bit, let it find its groove, and then bring her in a little. And now this end here. Now that I have them both snugged up, I'm going to take two 12s. I want to make sure that I don't turn that one while I'm tightening this one. Snugging it up. I'll do the same thing to this side. That's good. Next is our clip, which goes on right here. You can kind of find it. Get one side, like I said, and then pop the other. Right about there. Originally, there was no clip here, but I believe Mercedes wouldn't just put that there. They would put a clip. Just like that. So now I've got everything tight, so I'm going to go ahead and mark our points here. 8 through 5, as well as our cold start valve. Number 8, 7, 6, and 5. Same thing with our cold start. Next would be the air distribution line. There's the part number for that. This is the same part number for both sides. I put a little bit of petroleum jelly on the inside of this, just a tad on the outside of this, and a little bit on the outside of each one of these sleeves. So I'm going to put this in first, I believe, just like that. Then make sure at the top of each injector that you're pushed all the way down. If you're wondering about that right there, that little spacer that goes in between there, that's the same number for both sides. Next, I need to put this tube on. I've had it kind of setting off to the side over here, and I have it covered. I need to take this out right here and place it on there. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up this left side. Let's move on to the other side. Hey, what took you guys so long? Even our mascot grew hair and a beard. Let me tell you what I've been doing while you were gone here. I've pre-installed this coupling right here, and I've also routed this line that I labeled as A. So it's this vacuum line that goes right here with the 90 in it. This needs to be fed through there, labeled as A. And then, like I said, I pre-installed this coupling. So that brings you up to date. Now let's go ahead and install this number 4 first. This is the number 4. This one here goes in a special way here. You have to go under this, just like that. So this is the linkage. So don't go over the top or anything. Of course, you know, it should just fit, right? And then we'll do the same thing here. I'll go ahead and tighten this. There we go, that feels good. Let's tighten this down here, same way. Here we go. Now the number 3, same thing. You know, of course you can just take this rail off if you want. It might be easier, but I mean, this is not difficult. There we go, just about there. Now we'll put this on. Fit nice. Again, you can see how it fit up underneath there. I'm going to tighten this now. That feels good. Tighten the injector side. There you go. Next, I'm going to change it up on you. I'm going to put in the number 1. Same thing, you have to feed this in unless you want to take out your linkage, like I said before. There we go. Now I'll move on to here. Let's go up on top. I'm going to go ahead and tighten this. Now I'll move down to the bottom. Good enough right there. Nice and tight. Let's install the number 2 injector line. So what's the reason for me to jump over here to the number 1? The only reason is to let you know that you can do these any way you want. Only reason why I did it in that order is because, as you can see, this one here is partially blocked by that. So it's only for video. That's the only reason why I did that. Move on to this. Line that up. I'm going to go back up on top. Tight. Then I'll move down to here. There we go. Let's put on our clips. Got a clip here and a clip right around here somewhere. Again, these are new clips because the other ones were broken. It's the ones that I made. Let's mark our lines. That's 4, 3, 2, and 1. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Next is the air distribution hose. You'll need to take this A and put this under the A, like that, and then line up your injectors. Get this hose and get it kind of close. Push these together here. There we go. Next we'll just line up on our injectors. See where we are. Next we need to take this line that's marked breather and take this tube and put it in here. This goes to the fuel pressure regulator, and you see how I have it underneath this, and then I'm going to bring it over to here and plug that in here, and just like that, the breather hose is done. Our air distribution hose, we've got our fuel distributor installed and connected, and we also have our fuel pressure regulator installed and our EHA installed, and we have our cold start valve installed. Well, that pretty much sums up everything on the fuel distributor. In my next video, I think I need to tidy things up a bit. For example, I have this linkage over here that I need to deal with. Right there. I need to tighten this, and that. I also need to put the pulley on this water pump. Basically, there's a lot of things I got to do yet. Well, I think that brought this video to a conclusion, you guys. So until the next time, thanks again for watching.